You can support In the Past Lane by buying some of our merchandise, like shirts, hoodies, mugs, and stickers. Just go to our website, inthepastlane.com. Thanks.
Whoa, hit the brakes. You've arrived at the #1 drive-by for American history. Welcome to The Pit Stop. Brought to you by In the Past Lane, the podcast about history and why it matters. Here's Edward T. O'Donnell, your host and historian at large.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Pit Stop, your Monday source for history on the go in just about 5 minutes. We offer this mini feature every Monday in addition to our regular full feature episodes, like my upcoming interview with historian Jeffrey Engel about the history of impeachment. Here's what happened in American history the week of May 20th, 2019. Let's start with birthdays. May 22nd, 1930, that's the birthday of gay rights activist and politician Harvey Milk, who was born in Woodmere, New York. Harvey Milk was one of the pioneers of the modern gay rights movement. He became active in San Francisco in the 1970s, eventually winning a seat on the city's Board of Supervisors in 1978. But later that same year, on November 27, 1978, Milk and Mayor George Moscone were assassinated by another city supervisor. Harvey Milk once said, "Burst down those closet doors once and for all, and stand up and start to fight." May 26, 1895, that's the birthday of Dorothea Lange, who was born in Hoboken, New Jersey. Dorothea Lange rose to prominence as a photographer when she was hired by the Federal Farm Security Administration in the 1930s to take pictures of impoverished farm workers who were struggling during the Great Depression. Her most famous photo, Migrant Mother, is perhaps one of the most famous photographs of all time. Dorothea Lange once said, "Photography takes an instant out of time, altering life by holding it still." May 26 is also the birthday of jazz trumpeter, bandleader, and composer Miles Davis, who was born May 26, 1926, in Alton, Illinois. Miles Davis is considered one of the most influential figures in the world of jazz. He once said, "Do not fear mistakes. There are none." And May 26, 1951, that's the birthday of astronaut Sally Ride, who was born in Los Angeles, California. Sally Ride joined NASA in 1978, and 5 years later became the first American woman in space, and third overall. Okay, what about events? May 21st, 1881, Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross. When the Civil War broke out in 1861, she was working in Washington, D.C. Seeking to contribute to the war effort, she volunteered collecting bandages for wounded soldiers. But when this work failed to satisfy her need to serve her country, she headed for the battlefields, where she worked as a nurse and helped organize field hospitals, earning the nickname, the Angel of the Battlefield. After the war, she remained active in nursing, and in 1881, she founded the Red Cross, an American branch of an international organization founded in Switzerland. May 21st, 1927, Charles A. Lindbergh arrived to a hero's welcome in Paris, France, in his spindly monoplane, the Spirit of St. Louis. He had just become the first man to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. 5 years later, in 1932, also on May 21st, Amelia Earhart landed in Northern Ireland to become the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. May 22nd, 1856, Senator Charles Sumner of Massachusetts was attacked and nearly beaten to death by Congressman Preston Brooks of South Carolina. Sumner's offense was that he had delivered a fiery anti-slavery speech that denounced the South for sending pro-slavery vigilantes into the territory of Kansas in an attempt to turn it into a slave state. Sumner survived the attack, but never fully recovered from the severe head injuries he suffered from Brooks's cane. May 24th, 1935, Major League Baseball held its first night game. Playing under newly installed lights at Crosley Field in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Reds beat the Philadelphia Phillies 2-1. The Reds played 7 more night games that season, and drew substantially larger crowds than normal. Soon, nearly every Major League team installed lighting and began playing night games. The lone exception, of course, was the Chicago Cubs, who held out until 1988. May 26, 1924, President Calvin Coolidge signed the Immigration Act of 1924. The law was the culmination of decades of rising anti-immigrant sentiment. It dramatically reduced immigration from roughly 1 million people a year to about 150,000 per year. And of those 150,000, it granted large quotas to Northern and Western European countries like Great Britain and Germany, while giving very small quotas to so-called undesirable groups like Italians and Russian Jews. This law was eventually replaced 41 years later, in 1965, with a law that expanded immigration and got rid of the racist quota system. Okay, time for the last word. Let's give it to Sally Ride, who was born 68 years ago this week. She was once asked what it felt like to be a role model for young women. She said, "I never went into physics or the astronaut corps to become a role model. But after my first flight, it became clear to me that I was one, and I began to understand the importance of that to people. Young girls need to see role models in whatever careers they may choose, just so they can picture themselves doing those jobs someday. You can't be what you can't see." Okay, people, that's your history fix for the week. Now put it in Drive and go make your own history.